Where's Blue Mage? Point 4 is the patch of the Blue Mage. What is a Morble Marvin to do without his once per expansion update? Messed up, honestly. This is not a live letter recap video, though it will recap all the interesting stuff from the live letter in part. This is a discussion about the announcements from the latest 7.4 live letter and the trailer, about their ramifications and how that might be a catalyst for change within FF14, especially considering that change is Yoshida's buzzword recently. Spoilers for everything that happened if you want to remain comfortingly blind to it all. First of all, did you watch the patch trailer? It's playing in the background, and this is crazy that I'm saying it, but it feels like the cutscene animations and camera work have received a marked improvement. Of course, part of this will be trailer antics in particular, and won't be conveyed in the end product, referring specifically to the camera work here, but it's so good to see. FF14 always has somewhat stilted, janky animations, and whilst they have their charm, what they've done here has brought so much more excitement to the table. This is the first trailer I've excitedly rewatched since patch 6.2, genuinely, just because it's so damn hype. There's a normal and savage tier, though the release date is different. Patch 7.4 releases on December 16th, but the normal raid is delayed a few weeks till January 6th. A lot of the stuff at the start of the live letter is a recap, and you can watch this video that covers the interviews if you want to hear all about them. I won't cover them here. The strategy board feature is being added, as well as the Glamour update that removes gear restrictions, and the quality of life command panel feature for your UIs. The new dungeon is called Mistwake, and for users that are playing with duty support for dungeons, they will have the changes to raising that were discussed before that will allow you to die once without immediately causing a wipe state, which resets on each boss clear. Side note, the subset of player that uses the semi-AFK through Trust Dungeon strat to level alt jobs is gonna love that. I think this is an all-round positive change to accessibility. Dungeons in this game are no pinnacle of challenge, and most of those using duty support are the ones that don't care about efficiency. Streamlining that experience of getting through the main scenario quests and making it as friendly as possible is a positive addition. Doom Train, the trial, will be in the main scenario this time around, and it's going to be a memory-based puzzle fight that provides 2 totems. The thing about this fight that we can see from the trailer is that it firstly comes with some kind of arena change, and secondly feels drastically different both thematically and mechanically based on phase. Yoshida even mentions this himself. There's Tsukiyomi Unreal, a new frontline map, an additional map for Air Force 1 in the Gold Saucer. Forked Tower will be receiving 2 additional difficulties in 7.5, presumably the work that they had mentioned back before release that was dropped in the end in favour of the single difficulty that exists. 3 new Phantom jobs, a major disconnect protection addition to Deep Dungeon, which is huge value, a 3rd Cosmic Exploration planet, an additional Phantom weapon step, more Hildebrand quests, and a new variant dungeon. That's the content for the patch. There's a really good Reddit thread that condenses all the content down, which I've linked in the description. Savage being released on a delayed cadence after the preordained schedule is actually a really big deal. Firstly, crafted gear will be cheaper than ever, and with a higher starting item level due to the delay, you'll need less of it, meaning that it might be the friendliest time ever for players to dip their toes into week 1 raiding. Square Enix, until recently, have not shown willingness to budge outside of their comfort zone, but here, they're making drastic change to release dates in order to better cater to their audiences. This could mean that further down the road, and Yoshida has alluded to this in recent interviews, that the way patch and content releases are handled nowadays could be changing sometime in the upcoming expansion. Whether this means shifting to a format that more closely mimics the mobile game MMOs that Yoshida feels represents the needs of the modern market, or finding a way to address what has become a bit of a pain point in the game since the patch cycle extended a bit and releases became more piecemeal. I have no idea what'll actually happen with that, honestly. I know I'm in the minority personally because I don't have any issue with the rate at which Square Enix releases content, or even the way they stagger releases throughout a patch. I'm fine with all of it. The only gripe I have is how backloaded this expansion is. Had it been spread a little more evenly, I feel it would have done a lot to appease the frustration players have had. Before I go too far off on a tangent though, Arcadian has been a huge success story as a raid series, and my genuine hope is that it acts as a template for what comes next in 8.0's normal and savage raids. Experimentally focused mechanics that are not afraid to punish the player for poor decision making, that tests a wide variety of skills, including those that are not considered standard for raiding, like the ad phase in M6S, trialing target prioritization and effective damage in a much less static situation than normal. Tiers that focus very heavily on creating memorable characters and experiences that you can become a fan of or actively dislike, with strong senses of identity and a fight that fully plays out their fantasy in both the visuals and mechanics. Don't get me wrong, Arcadian doesn't always nail this, but a lot of the time it does. The announcer is peak as well, and I'll honestly miss him. I kind of wish we could have a new announcer for each raid series, if I'm being real. This expansion has been way more fun to me personally on a fight design basis. The Tag Team Surfer Guy fighters, who are definitely roommates, look peak, and I really hope they nail that one especially. I don't want a single boss for a raid going forward to be filler monster number 6, please. I love the fact that they're all characters. They also somehow managed to get Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine to put together a song for the raid tier, which, I mean, fair play. This will be the highlight of the first phase of 7.4 for me personally, bar none. I can't wait for Savage. Cruiserweight was a triumph in my opinion, and Light Heavyweight was okay. Whilst the new PvP map was the big content for that subset of the community, for me, the fact that you can now purchase Season 1 and 2 feast rewards in the coming patch is far more exciting. This is something we've needed for so long. You can just make all that gear and those mounts, release them in slightly off-tint colour or give them a different name, and make them unique from the feast rewards that were heavily win traded, and essentially had null impact on the game, and allow so many more people to enjoy them and have goals to grind towards with those trophy crystals. I've mentioned this a few times, but I'm also a firm believer that series rewards shouldn't leave after the patch is over either. They should instead just be in a menu, and the player can select which reward track they wish to work on when they play PvP. I'm firmly against a paid subscription MMO having so many actively FOMO elements that aren't limited to seasonal events, and having all the reward tracks available just means there's more to grind for those that prefer to dip in and out of PvP less regularly than patchly. The Glamour update is another symptom of what I hope will spiral into something really special for the game. Freedom of expression is important, and whilst it isn't for me personally, I really appreciate the strides FF14 has made in recent years to improve G-pose functions as well as the number of available glamourable items, and they've also added a lot more variety in their stylings. Removing level and job requirements entirely for gear feeds into this. This is the attitude the development team should have to all aspects of the game, fun and player-forward, choice-driven. There's also a bunch of magical girl-themed crafted weapons this time around, and now individual components of an outfit glamour can be converted into an outfit glamour without requiring a full set. This is super handy and helps to save space, and is another nice little addition that could even see players work hard to complete their collections of certain sets to see those satisfying chest icons fill up. The variant dungeon is confirmed to release in the 7.4 patch cycle, the first we've got on this expansion, and whilst I desperately hope it won't be the last, I believe it will be. They've made changes this time around, expanding it out from 2 difficulties with a third pseudo difficulty into 3 bespoke, unique challenges. To explain that, before there was Variant, Criterion, and Criterion Savage. Variant was the easy story mode that can be soloed, Criterion was the quote-unquote hard version that raiders would indulge in, and Savage was the same as Criterion, but with slightly higher damage and health scaling and completely limited raises that required a mostly perfect run to clear. This time around, Variant is the same, being that easy difficulty, but Criterion Savage is gone and Criterion stands at the top. In between, they've added Variant Advanced, which is a version of each of the 3 bosses with difficulty scaled somewhere between Variant and Criterion. It can be completed with 2 to 4 players and adjusts difficulty accordingly based on how many there are, and you can tackle the 3 bosses in any order and collect loot individually from each one. Seems like they've taken the concept of scalable difficulty from Quantum, ditched the annoying and kind of pointless sacrificial offering system and just built bespoke tailored settings that let players seamlessly progress. It seems good. Hope it works as well in practice as it sounds like it should in theory. They added a new single target burst DPS variant action as well, which is nice. I, for one, do not mourn the loss of Criterion Savage, quite bluntly because it was boring. It wasn't an interesting challenge, nor was it particularly difficult. You clear Criterion, then you do it again. That's it. I think this kind of challenge could still be implemented in a way by making a no-death challenge with a title locked behind an achievement. I'm still very staunch that achievements can be used to implement a lot of cool challenges for players, with reskinned mounts, minions, or titles as prizes. Achievements for clearing a fight on every job, doing it undersized, beating it with an additional criteria for bonus challenge, anything like that. The system could be more robust basically, and using achievements to do so prevents diverting heavy development resources from the team making content. The command panel was showcased next, which they stated was a direct response to player feedback. This is clearly inspired by all of those multi-chain cascading macros people have been using and showcasing for years that allows you to have one button that pops out all your jobstone selectors and so on, because at its core, it essentially does the same thing. The command panel allows you to condense up to 100 different buttons into 4 tabs of 25 and have those tabs expand or reduce at the press of one single action on your hotbar. It's perfect for job switches, mounts, minions, emotes, and chat macros, anything that you want to use occasionally but wish you could free up permanent space on your hotbar. Now you just need battle skills and this, and maybe a mount, and you're good. Love to see the quality of life. I genuinely think Square Enix have been performing fantastically when it comes to quality of life since Endwalker, and seeing them take on projects like this every patch or two that just offer so much convenience in a subtle way always brings a smile. The strategy board is finally coming as well, a feature I've been desperately excited for since the last expansion, and desperately disappointed at how many times it got delayed. Luckily, it looks well thought out. You can use this feature to build little folders of strat images. There are a bunch of presets to build off of, and these are shareable to other players via share codes. You can even use a screen share feature inbuilt to share the strat you're developing with the rest of the party whilst editing them or showcasing them, though only one person can edit at a time, so it's less easily collaborative than many web-based applications that are often used for strats. There are multiple layers, a pre-made object list with common AoE shapes, and all can be resized as you like. There are also regional player markers with D1 through 4, and also M1, M2, R1, and R2 to honour the Western and JP split in terminology. You can even pin it to your screen mid-pull and swap slides, the same way people would traditionally stick strat images on their second screens during progression. It's good, honestly. My main concern with the entire system is the limited storage, though I'm sure they'll be expanding it over time. The patch looks good, there's a lot to do, although Blue Mage is conspicuously missing from its 0.4x normal release date. There's a small chance that they just haven't announced it yet, but by small, I mean minuscule. At this rate, it's either delayed to 0.5 or they are skipping Blue Mage and Dawntrail in favour of going all in on Beastmaster. I've been saying this for a while, but my tinfoil hat theory is that something is getting delayed out of Dawntrail, because right now the Square Enix team have 2 very high volume of content patches coming out, and then the expansion immediately after. Something has to give. Maybe one of those some things is Blue Mage. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Overall though, whilst what we got isn't anything revolutionary, I don't think it needs to be. What we needed to finish up Dawntrail is small changes here and there that elevate the content experiences, whilst delivering the high level of endgame raids we have come to expect and appreciate. Things like the difficulties for variant are welcome. The plethora of quality of life does a lot for us. And a reiterated sense of commitment to fixing some of Dawntrail's missteps in the shape of the upcoming Fork Tower editions is something I love to see as well. I'd imagine 7.5 doesn't take the foot off the gas either. Square Enix is no doubt looking to build back up a sense of goodwill amongst the community through a series of successes in the lead up to 8.0, where we can anticipate more drastic structural changes to the game, and hopefully, Blue Mage. please do consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube member like these fine folk. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.